Hello, team. Welcome back to another Line Warcast. We have a 3v3 match today from the now public beta for team games and free for all. I'm not sure when this video will drop, but it certainly is you're able to go play it if you own Line War. Check it out. Check out the Discord. Check out the Steam page for some instructions on how to do so if you are interested. Our two teams, Alpha Team and Bravo Team, as always. On Alpha Team is Basantos in blue, the Zaro in red, Valthor 2 in orange, and on Bravo Team, Notorious Nubs in teal, someone said that my nickname sucks, in pink, and Romad Quantum Scientist in the light green. We can see where both teams are kind of looking at. The green spots are all the places that Bravo Team can go. The blue spots are all the teams or places that Alpha Team can go. We can see that the Zaro in red is going to go to the north. Looks like Basantos going to be in the right-hand side, and Valthor on the bottom island for Alpha Team. We can't really see where Bravo Team's going just because of the replay interface. I'm not gonna try to mess around with all the different views, but we'll find out very quickly where both teams are going. The picking phase is done, so all players are picking all the territories that they want to at this point off of their first starting location. And here we go. Again, Valthor on the bottom, Basantos on the right-hand side, the Zoro in the northern part for Alpha Team finishing it out. And then Bravo Team, far left is Nubs going for 2 docks, a quick town with a trade route, or with a port, which is instantly connected to Nickname's port and trade route. So that's quick economy for Bravo Team. And in fact, Bravo Team going for 4 trade routes here. So Nickname's going for the 2 towns and ports, connecting to Romad's town and port here, and then also connecting to Nubs' town and port here. 4 docks for Nubs, 2 docks for Nickname, 1 dock for Romad, and a factory for Romad. Not really sure. This might be building Sam's. I mean, in the central location, Romad might know that, like, this could be... Romad's going to be the one that's going to make first contact, in all likelihood. Valthor on the bottom going for a town, a gas already up, and subs and a dock. Basantos just expanding, sitting on some money right now, conserving that income until the team decides what to be building. Airport for the Zoro, a dock, and a sub pen. So Navy-wise, Bravo Team is going to have a huge advantage over time just because of the amount of docks that are being built. This is, I mean, it's 7 docks against the 2 of Alpha Team for now. Valthor's got this entire island. Probably not going to deal with any drops for a little bit from Romad because Romad needs to build a transport ship out of this dock. We can't see what's being built because of the vision. First building for Basantos, a gas and a barracks. The gas might be feeding the Zoro since they have a lot of gas units. The subs take a lot of gas. First destroyer for red and strikers on the way. Quick depot for Basantos, who's sitting on a lot of the gas. So the plan here, my favorite way to play team games personally for me, is being the one that just gets all the energy, and then you feed it to the teammates. And this might be what happens here, potentially. We can see that the Czars set up a depot already, and Basantos has now connected this depot to Zoro's depot. So like the energy can start being shared here. Team game coordination at its finest. Teams can also share economy. They have to have bordering territories to do so. And money-wise, here comes these first transport ships, or pardon me, merchant ships for Bravo Team to start spiking that economy. Nubs is taking, I mean, Nubs only took 2 starting territories. So sending the 2 to 2 groups of infantry that from those 2 starting territories to cap the bottom side of Romad's island so Romad can kind of focus on going to the right. And first gas for Romad, gas already for Nubs. Here comes a dock for Basantos, that's what we're hearing, and it's right here. Which is going to be helpful. I mean, this is a lot of Navy on this map. The Navy supremacy is going to be very important, especially in this like little channel in the middle of these 2 teams. I mean, really, we can see the divide being that Alpha Team's mostly on the right-hand side, Bravo Team mostly on the left-hand side, so this will become very important. And I'd assume that Zaro needs to be careful to not get... boxed in isn't the right word, but with 2 docks, and then the supporting docks from Nubs, there could be quite the navy that just swings in here and destroys the sub pen and the dock. Some of the air cover will help out for Alpha Team, at least delaying that if that was to happen. Airport for Basantos. And 2 barracks and a factory in the south for Valthor, who's starting to make their way to the far left island. This is, like, for Nub's sake, this is very fortuitous because Valthor is going to end up landing right where all this infantry is, so they might be able to stuff it. Otherwise, this would be a great kind of reach around from Valthor to get into a position that Romad likely wouldn't suspect. And here comes these artillery and SAMs for Romad, understanding that, like we kind of talked about earlier, this is, I mean, if Alpha Team is able to destroy this town, then the port goes down, and that's going to be one of the trade routes that goes down for Bravo Team. That would be a loss of economy. And then just in general, the central location for like commando drops, landings, whatever, two factories for Romad is really going to help out here. Transport boat for Valthor is almost to the far left, and a navy for Bravo Team sort of congregating in this choke here. 3 industry now for nickname. Bravo Team continuing to eco up relatively quickly. And the Zora's out of gas already. It's so many gas units, and it's only 1 refinery at the moment. The refinery for Valthor can't really get connected because there's not enough range for the pipelines. I think there'd have to be another depot built as an intermediary step to get this hooked up to the team's energy. We'll see if that comes into play. And Alpha Team luckily has a trade route, so this will kind of alleviate a little bit of the economic discrepancy, because Alpha Team has more land territories, I think, just by eyeballing this, but they certainly don't have 4 trade routes. Subpen for Romad, very close to the action. And I mean, it could snipe a dock, it could go all the way around the back. The navy on this map, I mean, you can go pretty much everywhere. You can't go around this island because the map ends here. And Valthor is actually able to land with just 4 infantry. So I guess it's just like these 4 infantry had already capped at this point. So the timing was actually perfect for Valthor to land there. First cruiser out for Basantos, who's making more cruisers and starting on this town to set up this trade route. And of course we saw that this other dock from Valthor in the bottom left. Subs from both teams, or I guess this is actually all just the Zoro's subs potentially. Starting to group up. There's 3 of them at the moment. I'm not sure if there's more subs on the way, but there's 4 strikers now for red, interceptors from blue, and a large navy for Bravo Team. Depot going up for nickname with 2 docks. I mean, or 3 docks, pardon me. That's a lot of gas consumption. Both teams going to need to be aware of how much gas they're using with all of these boats, which are notoriously heavy on the energy use. Factory on the bottom for Valthor. I mean, there's a lot of docks that I think could actually hit this factory from the top side if Nubs wanted to. But this could delay Bravo Team a lot. I mean, that factory, if Valthor decides to dig in there, it could just take a lot of Bravo Team's resources and time to clear that out. Second dock for Basantos, and an airstrip somewhere going down. In team games, you can share airstrips with your ally. So all the planes from red could land at that blue airstrip wherever it is. This is that Navy numbers mismatch that we were talking about earlier. It's not enough boats from red. Here's the airstrip. It's actually Zoro's airstrip, or one of the airstrips. I feel like we heard Basantos make one, and it is right here. Another factory for Basantos. This could turn into a tough situation for the Zoro. There's enough missile boats. I guess there's only 2. There's actually 2 destroyers, and with this, if there's some more missile boats, they can probably take all of these strikers. And the problem about this location is the second these strikers launch, Because of the boat numbers for Bravo team, they can just kind of park here with missile boats, and it'll be hard for the Red Strikers to go anywhere without just taking free shots. Need to check the bottom side, so it's tanks from Valthor out of these two factories. Romad's keeping an eye on it with a line of infantry. Submarines. Okay, I don't know whose subs are whose, but there's a submarine fight on top of Valthor's boat there. Here come the 4 strikers that are helping a lot because there are no missile boats left anymore. There's just one destroyer with the 2 cruisers. And with the interceptors showing up, these can soak a little bit. I mean, they can definitely do a little bit of damage. Not nearly as much as the strikers on the boats, but everything helps here. It's still more cruisers from Pink showing up. And here comes Romad's boats. I'm pretty sure this is Nub's. Nub's boats on the way. 4 missile boats. That'll be a huge benefit for Bravo team. Plugging these gaps with boats is going to become a huge deal on this map. Whoever controls these choke points on the water, I think, are going to find the most success here. Second refinery for Basantos going up. There's a third one in the top, which is a little bit risky because if Bravo Team's Navy is able to take this, then they could run up, and I think they could probably, cruisers at least, could hit that refinery. So there's barracks for Nickname at this point, who the plan is to land the infantry here. 2 cruisers in support from Nubs to help these Pink infantry get a LZ going. And cruisers are great for this situation because now, I mean, this infantry for Blue and Red can't even get close to the coast without just getting peppered by cruisers. Red Strikers are launching. 2 interceptors for Basantos getting the full scout on Romad's setup, which is great intel for Alpha Team to see exactly the production that's there and kind of get a read on the situation. 4 cruisers, 2 destroyers, and 4 missile boats, definitely enough to take a fight here to destroy the submarine pen and the dock for Red. Valthor's dock on the bottom is going to have to put in work, and the use of the subs will be important. This idea of like running in, poking with the subs, running out, because in general the subs don't want to take a direct fight with the Navy. There's no destroyers here, which is the only good thing for Valthor, I guess. Destroyers are great at destroying submarines. Cruisers are the next best thing. A lot of infantry that has been reinforced here from Valthor, who's now going SAM artillery after going 2 tanks. This is a great combined arms. And Yellow will definitely take this. It's only a matter of time. Nickname's reinforcing and building a barracks here as well. 3rd factory from Romad. Naval battle this is such a tough spot for these strikers to be, as we were talking about earlier. And it's a sizable navy. Dig in from Basantos, that is great to buy some time here for more buildup of units to reinforce. And something is targeting this airstrip, and it's clearly, it's going to be Romad's planes. I guess it's going to be 1 striker that's going to start chipping away at this. Bravo Team Navy doing work on those docks. Valthor's still holding on here. 2 submarines. Or someone, I feel like this has to, I don't even know whose subs those are. I feel like those are Valthor subs. Decent army here. It forces Romad to put another barracks down. And this is exactly what we're talking about with those subs that they just poke in. This cruiser can actually see these subs. I don't think there would be the vision. Granted, there's not enough units here. At this point, this cruiser can see them probably because of these land units. But great snipe from the submarines on the cruiser. A snipe from Zorro on the gas. I missed that. There's a lot going on. This is the beauty of team games. Another dock for Zorro. And the 2 strikers for Romad with a 3rd showing up might actually be able to take out that airstrip, which we'll have to keep an eye on. And it in fact does. So if there's nowhere for these red planes to land, which thankfully there is because there's open room on these airports, it was still pretty devastating because I think there are 3 strikers there that ended up getting taken out. Nickname's out of gas, so traversing the north is going to take a little bit of time. Basantos is getting ready to take this 4th refinery by digging in, pardon me, some infantry. Great push from Valthor in the south here. Trade route still going for Bravo team. And here comes the push from Basantos. There's artillery on the dock. With Bravo team's navy showing up to reinforce, these 4 cruisers might find themselves in trouble. I'd expect there probably to be a retreat once these boats come into view. And with the Duggan artillery just does so well to be able to help out with these boats. I mean, artillery is one of the only units that can really not go toe-to-toe with cruisers, but at least hold their own to some degree. 3 factories and a barracks for Nickname, who is going to start trying to invade, essentially, like Alpha Team's big landmass in earnest. That's going to be a lot of units over time once those factories get set up. And it's important to keep watching one of the best things going for Alpha Team, which is this yellow push, which forces Nickname to put down 2 more factories here. Here come the strikers from Red. There's actually not a ton of missile boats, so at least 1 missile boat should go down, which we just see right there. And as long as these Red strikers don't all get totally cooked by the SAMs, only 1 does by the boats. Decent trade for Alpha Team. Basantos backing up. Very good micro from both teams there to get the maximum out of their units. This trade route almost set up for Alpha Team. Power plants for Valthor, who now has a sizable navy. And this navy for Romad is actually boxed in. And I think Valthor just has enough here. It would be super ideal for Valthor to be able to keep these factories alive. I think with just these artillery pieces, it definitely could happen anyway. And from the north, we're seeing Nub's attempt to attack these factories. And I mean, between the 2 sides, maybe one of the factories will go down, but Alpha Team needs to definitely deal with that. Or, pardon me, Bravo Team needs to deal with Valthor's base there. In the north, this navy hasn't quite made their way across yet. And this is going to be a great second front that Basantos opens with. There's 2 transport boats. This will be, I mean, with 2 transport boats, especially if they're hasting, they'll be able to get units across relatively quickly. The 4 factories for Bravo Team are now starting to really show up and start producing. So I think over time Bravo Team is definitely going to stabilize, especially with the air cover that Romad is supporting out of these 2 airports. Another dock, another sub-pen for Romad. Cleanup of the southern navy for Valthor, which is great. And now that the boats on the south are taken out, all these artillery pieces can move to the north. So only 1 factory is actually killed for yellow. Nickname's digging in at this little peninsula. This is very important. Full navy expecting to find a refinery here, and there is not. Tons of gas, it looks like, for Alpha Team. So that refinery is not even needed immediately, and here's that second port to start the trade route for Blue. Yeah, this is really good. I feel like even just building these 3 factories and then forcing the reaction of more factories from Bravo Team might be worth it in itself. Basantos going for a rocket very close to the coast, but with a navy and with Valthor's cruisers showing up as well, probably can defend this with the planes as long as those planes can actually continue to fly. Nice snipe from the airplanes on the barracks for Nickname, and this artillery for Red can start shelling this defensive line. This is going to start heating up. These are definitely Bravo Team subs. We can see that the blue helicopters are attacking them. Retreat move onto the airports. This airport will definitely go down, I suspect. I'm not sure if this many strikers can actually kill the blue infantry before it destroys an airport. Striker for Romad goes down. 2 transport boats doing their best. They're about to take a wider berth so that this navy can actually be between them and the opposing forces navy. So to keep those transport boats safe, this is a great front to be opening for Alpha Team. And this rocket is going to definitely come into play. I mean, it's such a strategic location for the rocket. What's going on in the south? Okay, so these units for Valthor getting decommissioned is the word. to save that upkeep. Sniping on the submarine. Wow, there is a lot of stuff going on in this game. This Northern Navy is starting to try to take out this refinery, but it doesn't really matter, as we said, for Alpha Team. I mean, it looks like Zoro's a little bit out of gas, but I think Bravo Team might be struggling with the gas more. I just saw that. Yeah, here we go. So Nubs is running out of gas with all these cruisers. And more SAMs for Basantos, which there's not as many strikers anymore for Romad, which is good. Here comes all the power plants for Nubs, so that those boats don't struggle as much anymore. Unfortunately for Nickname, there's only 2 missile boats here to defend against like this many strikers, and this is just the result of Zoro having 2 airports producing strikers this entire time. Because it's quite the number. They're gonna get 1 factory. They in fact get 2, which Nickname just rebuilds immediately. The boats for Bravo Team end up getting 1 of the refineries. Unfortunately, it just means that it'll be harder to set that up again. Still not sure how important that gas was. And Nickname will probably start pushing out along this peninsula. And the Zoro might run into a lot of units here. And this is I think a good backing up for the Zoro here, if they're going to stay in this mountain range and just defend there. Here comes the refinery for Basantos, which feels super scary, but there might actually be a reinforcing navy for this. And Bravo Team's still having gas problems, and Red still has a ton of strikers. Great defensive line from Balthor. This is going to buy a ton of time to continue to reinforce units, get this gas up. Romad is on this 1 airstrip. There's only 1 striker, it looks like. And by this point, Bravo Team has seen the rocket. I can't imagine that Bravo Team doesn't have the vision on this rocket at this point. Unfortunately, Blue is out of gas, so defending this refinery is going to be very difficult. This is a tough situation for a bunch of transport boats to be in. The rocket is 2/3 of the way done. The Northern Navy for Bravo Team just continues to try to snipe these gases, which is a huge play given the gas problems that both teams are facing at the moment. In a Navy battle, whoever has more gas, very likely and very often, is the team that just wins, because their boats can actually maneuver and take way better fights. These strikers are going to be in a lot of problems as they run into all these missile boats. And certainly, I think 3 more strikers will probably go down, if no more. Rocket is almost done, probably about 4/5 of the way done. And the second rocket is always up quicker than the first one. So when Basantos decides to launch this, there has to be 20 gas in reserve in order to launch this rocket. But I think Basantos has the money to just build another rocket right after. Huge push from Balthor, which is about to start paying off again. And I think at this point, Yellow has secured that southern refinery. This is such a huge moment in this game, because Bravo Team needs to kill this launch pad before the rocket is up. It's almost done. It's not quite ready. And with this many cruisers, this might actually work. Bravo Team might actually take this out before it's ready, and they do. Very clutch play from Bravo Team, and now we have to reassess what's going on in this game. I mean, right now we can clearly see that what's going on is one hell of a fight in the middle of the water here. Clearly an overwhelming advantage in the numbers for the boats for Bravo Team, who will potentially just start pushing. Balthor's still doing pretty decent in the south. There's no planes, but Romad's trying to get more planes, like the 3 airports and another barracks for Nickname here. So Balthor's going to be outproduced in the southern part of that island. But I mean, it's still buying tons of time. I'd be super interested to see what the economies for both teams are. Here's this trade route finally making money and sending these merchant boats. And this is tough. I mean, it's a ton of cruisers for teal and pink. And not much of a navy for Alpha Team. I wonder if there's going to be a point at which Valthor is going to start sending boats up to help out. Even though, I mean, I'm not sure. You need a ton of boats to be able to actually effectively counter this at this point. So here comes just a counter push from Valthor, opening up a second front. That's going to be huge. 2 cruisers for Nubs that are going to start sniping the factories. I'm not surprised that they can hit this. I don't think they can hit it from this side. They have to be on the other side of the water. So this is great for yellow, and keeping these buildings closer to the left side of the southern coast of this landmass, so that these boats can't get there. However, if Valthor loses this is going to be a little bit tough. Oh, I don't know why Bravo team just all ran out of gas at the same time. It looks like this is a lot of helicopters. They're going to do a ton of damage until these missile boats are here. I wonder if they can actually get there if they have enough gas. The helicopters do so much damage just because they hover over their targets. And so they took out a bunch of the cruisers. There's just a yellow cruiser and a blue cruiser fighting all of this navy. Unfortunately now for the helicopters, the missile boats are here, and missile boats are going to shred the helicopters. They're probably going to get the last one. And there's that last hit. Okay, never mind, I lied. Cruisers, part of me, just continue to pound this refinery. Unfortunately, super annoying. Huge push from Nickname. And this will be hard to stop. Without like a huge dig-in in this choke, this is going to be very difficult to stop. Here comes a dig-in now from the Zorro. Sub-pen in the top for Basantos. Building a sub-pen when your opponent already has like an established navy can sometimes be one of the best calls, because you can, I mean, it catches them off guard. And you can micro it to try to pick off a few ships. You can send it all the way around, maybe snipe some gases. It's like one of those comeback units, I feel like, in general. We can see that Bravo team ended up winning this fight. One cruiser, Nickname's still struggling with a gas problem, so this one cruiser for blue might actually be able to do a ton of damage. Strikers for Zorro would do a ton of damage here on Nickname's army, because there's not a lot of SAMs. It's just a question of gas for both teams in this game. Huge fight in the south here. Unfortunately for Valthor, this landing force got cleaned up, and now it's just an enormous army for Bravo team that's going down to the south to try to deal with Valthor's proxy base there. Here come these strikers picking off some of the artillery pieces. They get a cruiser. That's great. I mean, this cruiser for pink can somehow not attack there. Oh, it definitely can. It can attack the airport. We can see that there's black plumes of smoke on the red strikers, so obviously red is dealing with the gas issue at the moment. And I wonder how much of it is because of these 5 cruisers for pink that's parking on these refineries. Super unfortunate for Alpha team. This is probably going to be probably an even fight, honestly. I'm not really sure who's going to win that. It's important for yellow not to lose this position, but because of the defender's advantage of having the reinforcements be closer, maybe this is a successful hold. It's a tough situation. Another dig-in from Valthor, which is definitely the right call. I mean, a push is not going to do much against that much enemy production. The strikers can overwhelm the missile boats, which is important. If red can get the gas, they're slowly thinning out this artillery count. This is the huge problem, because there's going to be 6 more missile boats that park out in this little bay. And there's not an overwhelming number of strikers for red, so they wouldn't be able to take on that many missile boats. And these two factories for Nickname continue to just pour units in through this mountain range and add Zorro's main base. Between the subs and the cruiser, Valthor holds on here. Strikers taking a great path from Romad to go around the back from the SAMs. The SAMs are retreating to get on top of the buildings and start destroying strikers. And we saw that one barracks got taken out and none of the factories died, which is huge, but it's such an enormous army that there really needs to be another landing somewhere in order for Alpha Team to alleviate the pressure. that is being put on Valthor in the south there. One submarine now for Basantos in the top right. This looks like a tough position. I'd say officially this is now like tough for Alpha Team. Because Bravo Team is starting to control the center of the map. And slowly pushing. And once they get to this choke, it'll be hard for Alpha Team to break out. This is an important extra dock that Blue is throwing down because the Navy is such a huge problem. Another rocket in the mountains. A rocket can definitely turn a game around just like a submarine pen. It's just now a matter of time of waiting. I think it takes about 7 minutes for a rocket to build. So let's see if Alpha Team can hold out this long. Valthor is definitely going to lose this position to like an absolutely hilarious amount of skittle-looking artillery for Bravo Team. 2 more sub-pens for Valthor, which I do like. If you can just like micro subs in and out, I mean, as we talked about, you can get a lot of value from it. Slowly, I think that Alpha Team's going to stabilize here. The helicopters might be able to get in play. The one problem is that there's so many red strikers have died. And the other problem, of course, is that Bravo Team apparently can see this. They can see this rocket. And so we have a missile boat that's attacking it. There will probably be cruisers that show up, and here they come. I don't suspect that that rocket will end up being able to survive. Second sub-pen for Basantos. And actually a third sub-pen for Valthor, who is definitely stabilized here. Romad has a great number of artillery on the coast. We can see that Valthor sees it and bugs out, decides not to even try to attack. City for nickname, I don't know when that's been there, presumably for a while. And with the strikers for Romad, this launch pad's certainly going to be cleaned up. Here's that depot we're talking about. This intermediate depot. But gas-wise, I don't think it's even that huge of a deal for Alpha Team anymore because, I mean, there's still a ton of boats, so I shouldn't even say that. Gas is always going to be important in this game. 2 bombers. One of the first times we've seen bombers in a team game in this series, I think. And there's no interceptor, so the bombers will be able to get a ton of damage. What you're seeing flying around here is actually an artillery piece of this blue factory. And Blue's now opening up this little southern front on this pink army. Helicopters from the north, nicknames launching in the north of this island. It's 3 transport boats. It's going to be able to reinforce quite a few of units because there's 2 barracks supporting this. And the artillery for Blue will be able to attack the boats, kind of keeping the helicopters safe for a little bit. They're actually like perfectly at the range, but they're only taking a few shots at a time from these missile boats. So this is going to be a win for Alpha Team, who now has to deal with this, what could be a very, very strong landing for Romad and Bravo Team here, because I think a lot of these units could actually just be transferred from the defensive lines. There's no way that Blue and Red are going to be able to defend both of these positions, especially with the naval advantage that Bravo Team has. And here comes the encirclement of 3 cruisers. Bravo Team's entirely secured that island that Valthor had the proxy base on by this point, and the submarines doing a great job to clear out all of these cruisers. There's 3 destroyers in the choke point, so the submarines won't be able to get through unnoticed around the north, but if there's enough submarines, they can just take on that fight. 4 artillery pieces for Romad, crushing this town. It will likely fall. Maybe the helicopters can actually save the town. We'll have to see. And now Romad's on 4 airports with a ton of planes. And the bombers can actually start striking this production for Valthor. And more important, like pretty much everything. The bombers have such a long range. A huge amount of Bravo's Navy has chased these blue cruisers all the way into this bay. Alpha Team's able to keep this town alive, slowly pushing through the mountains, but they're going to run into a defensive line from Nickname in the mountains, which will be a very, very tough position to break. And more boats for Bravo stream in. And as I said that these subs did a good job, and they have been doing a good job, somehow a whole new navy has shown up. But I guess, I mean, the boats can't really see this many subs. 3 destroyers against, what is this, like 6 submarines? If the missile boats also fight with destroyers, I don't think the subs will be able to take it, but maybe if it's just subs versus destroyers, Alpha Team can clear that out. And here comes the Wolfpack for Valthor to come support like the 5 cruisers that already exist at this choke point. Tough position for Zora to try to hold the north, this landing from Nickname as well. And we can see just how quick folks are clicking to get the max value out of these units. It's really just it's a cool kind of dance that the submarines and the destroyers are doing. These submarines are sort of kiting the destroyers, but the destroyers should do a decent amount of damage. Here comes the 6 submarines that just fight these destroyers straight up. Some striker support from Zora, which unfortunately one of them are just going to end up hitting the missile boat. I mean, it just one-shots the injured missile boat. But also losing 1 striker, but this is good. I mean, now Basantos can kind of start, I mean, can keep this refinery alive, clear out these boats, maybe make their way back to this choke point. And this is still just going to be an impossible position to clear. Romad is out of gas. Huge naval battle at the choke here. These are yellow Alpha Team submarines that are flanking. And all the cruisers for Alpha Team, if this navy for Nubs gets wiped out here, I mean, there's something to be said that like maybe Alpha Team could turn this around. Maybe, but there's so many boats in reserve, and this is an enormous landing party, and at this point certainly Bravo Team has more economy. Missile boats for Nickname showing up, which forces these helicopters from Basantos to go home, unfortunately, for Alpha Team. And Nickname has sort of secured a position here. And with the boats, so there could be production that goes down in these mountains at any time. Submarines for Valthor doing work. The 4 cruisers for Basantos also doing work. And Zora's doing a good job to dig in, and it's going to be a great greeting for these artillery pieces that are going to slowly move through this mountain. It's really, this is one of the fronts that is a tough position for Alpha Team to deal with. So this is actually a cleanup for Alpha Team, but is there any way that they can turn this into some momentum to start pushing and sniping gases? Like, they'd have to push all the way to the gas, I'd assume, and still somehow have an answer for this. There's enough SAMs here for Romad that any of the planes from Alpha Team, as these armies push further inland, there's at least some SAM support, which makes the planes not as useful. Huge navy with the cruisers, some missile boats, and some destroyers. That's enough that these submarines aren't going to be able to break out of that position anymore. This is totally lost. Nickname's starting to build transport boats in the bottom, which can start doing... I mean, I'm interested to see where Nickname's going to send these transport boats. But certainly could start threatening Valthor's main base. Yeah, that's tough. The 3 strikers could probably attack this. There's only 1 missile boat as long as they have the gas. That being said, the strikers at home are also super useful. And this is this cool move you do with the subs. Just like move in, send off a volley of torpedoes, and then immediately back up. And continue to do that to kite. Let's see where all these planes for Romad are going. Potentially just a fight in the middle. Yeah, and this is exactly what's going to happen. Nubs is going for it. All these planes for Romad also showing up. That potentially could kill a lot of submarines here, as long as all these planes for Romad actually, you know, proc to these subs. But they're probably going to go for these cruisers at this point. Let's just go big picture. Top right, nicknames Navy fighting Basanto's subs. A little bit of a mismatch in firepower. The hilariously large striker swarm with some bombers mixed in for Romad, escorting Nub's Navy. And this fight in the mountains for Romad is going great. And I think this position also for Zoro is going to collapse in a second. Very hectic. You know, it's funny because every game that we cast in this series, just in general for like 1v1 games over the last few months, but especially in the team games in the last like 2 weeks, since you know, more team games have come out and the beta's become more stable, it's just like the level of play has just jumped so much. Teams are getting more coordinated, more used to the situations, like the mechanics of how to share with the teammates, like eco and energy. It feels like a whole different game than the first team games we were watching. Very hectic. And although Nubs is out of gas, these subs for Valthor are cornered, and eco-wise, this is very nearly over. The 4 trade routes for Bravo team are such a strong opener, and really, I think, put Alpha team at a disadvantage for most of the game, or rather, always playing a little bit of catch-up with the economy. We can check the graphs after the game to see if that is the case. I could be totally wrong. And that's all the buildings of Alpha team resigning. Oh no, I've learned what happens. So, give me a second. Yeah, Basanto's left, and that's why we see this. So in the free-for-all video, that's actually what happened. Let's check out these graphs. Wildly important. Yeah, so eco-wise, Bravo team was just ahead, and I don't know when the trade routes kicked in, but you can see it was just always going to be tough. Alpha team captured more territory than Bravo team, but it's really just those trade routes, I think. Well played. Well played, everyone. That's team games. Again, the beta is out. If you own LimeWire, if you want to check it out, check out the Discord. Check out the Steam store page for the announcement. Looking forward to a full release. I hope you folks have a great night, day, evening, whatever it is. We'll see you soon. We'll see you on ladder. Enjoy. Peace.